When everything we consume is the worst thing ever by some mouth breather on the internet, how is anything truly the worst thing ever? Time for the only podcast to officially create a list of the worst movies ever made. The only one. For real. Worst movies ever.
Worst movies ever. Welcome to another episode of Worst Movies Ever here. Why did I say it like that? Let's do the take two here. That's fucking stupid. I hate doing podcasts where I have to try and introduce and do this. I always feel such like a phony asshole. You know what I'm gonna leave it. Fuck it, I'm leaving it in. So people, welcome in. And as I said, and I warned you guys last episode, I was gonna have a guest on. And this guest not only is a fellow listener and longtime supporter, he's an executive producer on this goddamn podcast, Mr. Vaughn from the Motion Picture Massacre. Welcome in, bud.
Hey, guy, how you doing?
I love making it awkward.
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic. I don't care. Like I'm so used to doing the same thing when I freaking have guests on, and it's just like I don't fucking know how to do this. That's why that's why now I do the whole intro where I tell them the spiel about how I'm recording, and if you're on here and you say anything you don't want anything said, you know, it all doesn't get deleted, so you're fucked. So
yeah,
like,
don't shit, right?
And it's like, hey, welcome, guest. All right, let's go. It's like, fuck it.
Which I love the shout out on the last episode that I listened to, where you exposed me, you broke kayfabe hardcore on me.
Oh yeah. It's like my brother listens to this show. So Ryan, how you doing? And he's like, how the fuck do you become an executive producer? I'm like, well, there was a little bit of a podcast where he wanted to be tortured. So we all paid money and I still continue paying that money. So as a payback, he put me as an executive producer. He's like, okay.
Do you care to admit what that podcast was?
Yes, it's Ass Monster. I have 2 shirts that say my favorite podcast is Ass Monster.
That's right.
I do have 2 shirts, yeah. I wear them all the time, and everybody looks at me like I'm fucking nuts. You go to a freaking doctor's office with a whole bunch of old people, and you have my favorite podcast is Ass Monster. Just stares at you. It's the best.
My favorite podcast is Ass Monster.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck? Okay, yeah. So, but yeah, Ass Monster, which lasted like 6 episodes. It was the longest running freaking Patreon show I've ever been a part of. And I like how it didn't take you long to break you. That's the great thing. It took me 2 movies, and I was like, "Fuck this guy."
Yeah. Can you imagine? Those junk food dinner boys have been watching those movies and podcasting about them for years,
and having nice things to say about them too. Which I'm like, "What are you guys fucking what drugs are you guys on? And can you please hand them out?"
They're fucking hardened ghouls. That's why.
Yeah, gross.
They're absolute fucking ghouls. So anyway, pertaining to worst movies ever, the way that I've kind of established having guests on this show is that I'm not going to be the one that picks the movies that we're going to be doing with guests. I'm not going to force the sort of fucking nonsense that I endure myself through. I'm going to make my guests pick the movie. And today you picked, ultimately, let's pull the veil aside, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, when you originally said you were going to do this as a public show, I automatically put my name out there and said, "Hey, anytime you want to guest host, I want to be on." And the second thing out of your mouth was, "What movie will you pick?" And I was like, and SlimeCity was the first one that came up in my head. And I know, I do the same thing now when I have guests every other episode, and I say, "Oh, okay, you pick the film," and I never get a response sometimes. And I'm like, "Are we still doing this?" Yeah. Well, what are you picking? It's like the automatic thing. They're like, "Oh, I can't do that." I was like, "Why can't you?"
Yeah.
I give you film. If I pick the films, you guys hate them. So I want you give me something you like, and we'll fuck around with it. But with this, the first thing that came to mind was SlimeCity. It was and then after that, once I send it to you, I was automatically fucking kicking myself because 900 other fucking movies in the same category came up.
Of course.
And I'm like, SlimeCity would be a good one to do on this show because it hasn't been done, on the other show, on the Patreon show. And it's definitely a movie where it's kind of like that fucking, that sliding scale of like, the fucking neckbeards who hate fucking, good bad movies, and the people who like really understand that this is actually a decent piece of independent filmmaking, which is the shitty part about it, where they're like, it's gross, there's the acting's terrible. Like, go fuck yourself. Come on, just sit down and enjoy something.
So other than that, like, what drove you to want to talk about this today, and kind of like, what is your history with this movie at all?
Like, I really like this film. It's one of those films that, like, back in the day when I was a kid, renting stuff from the video store, getting into trauma, like, and because I live on the East Coast, live in New Jersey, I was fascinated with films that were shot in New York City, any kind in the 5 boroughs in Manhattan, that kind of stuff. So like automatically trauma, because a lot of the stuff was shot in Manhattan, a lot of stuff was shot in New York and Jersey. Street Trash, which is another one that's kind of in the same vein of all these. And then I saw this like in that whole oeuvre of all of it, just like, the Nick Zed stuff, like I was like watching all that kind of stuff because I was like, oh, it's fucking shot in New York, I'm gonna watch it. Fucking I don't care, or whatever. And so when I saw this, I was like, yeah, okay, we're definitely gonna, it's on the tier of like those kind of films. I just enjoy the hell out of it. I mean, compared to a lot of the other things that Lambertson's done, I think this is like the top tier of all his films. Everything after that is like, I just kept making films. It's great. I mean, I love filmmakers who continue. They make their magnum opus in their first feature, and then they continue to work and like try to like sometimes try to like get that same polish on a film, but fail miserably. But they're still fucking doing it, which is awesome. They just say, okay, drop the mic, I'm done.
Yeah.
I also like directors like that too, but yeah.
I have a very similar kind of history with it as well. Is like, we grew up around the time where you just went and rented whatever kind of seemed interesting to you in the video stores. And I took a shine to this movie immediately for a lot of the same reasons you said. I mean, I'm a huge Henenlotter fan, huge Trauma fan, huge fan of anything like Street Trash and any of that stuff. And this movie seemed to fit in that mold immediately. They're definitely like that era of like independent film that's still being shot on film, and all of it is shot around the same area. There's a vibe to it. Yeah. It has like the film stock all these guys used has a definite feel to it. And oddly enough, a lot of the musical choices that these guys make these movies kind of feel like they're made by the same people, which is so rare to find.
It's interesting. It's like they all knew the same chemists to get their films developed, the same fucking, handful of musicians to make their fucking scores. Yeah, and it's great that they kind of, it feels like, because you're picking from New York City, which was, big underground friggin', acting scene. And so there's a lot of fucking people looking for work. So it's like, okay. And then like even the ones where it's like, okay, these are clearly like my friends, but they picked the best fucking people out of the friend group to be like, okay, you can actually do this. So let's go for it.
It's always refreshing to find these movies where they're obviously being made on a very minuscule budget, but these guys really put their best foot forward and actually tried, unlike a lot of the bullshit that we talk about here on the fucking podcast, where it kind of just feels like they're just throwing a fucking movie together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's also the time. It's the time period. It's the mid '80s, like early to mid '80s, when it was just kind of this, boom of just kids and people just kind of like picking up film cameras and just running with it, And we get this today still, but it's it's so much different. I have this argument with people who are into collecting VHS, right? And there's a kind of there's a thing about VHS that's great. That's the way it's shot, the way it's put on the tape, the format, all that stuff is cool. But like when you can actually sit there and watch a film like the way it was intended by the director, regardless of what media it is, it's fantastic. You know what I mean? And some people just don't understand that. Like if you can sit in the theater with like the original 8mm film and the director in the back watching it with you guys, it's wonderful. Right. It's like you're not just sitting at home with a bunch of friends getting drunk and getting high watching like some cruddy tape.
Some 15th generation of a VHS. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like someone found it in the woods somewhere, It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch this. But like, yeah, well, like growing up, like we were around the same age. Growing up, like it was always that kind of that search of finding like the next weirdest fucking thing you could find, right? And this was definitely one of those ones where it was like I hit a pinnacle, and then like, oh, I found the next fucking thing that's even weirder than this.
Totally.
You know,
I've always been somebody that wanted to find something that was, I always gravitated towards monster movies more than anything else.
Sure.
And this movie is just like gooey enough, just weird enough and seedy enough that it just like tickled every fucking like neuro center of weirdness in my brain. And it just like, it's been one of those movies that I've had on rotation in my life ever since I first saw it back in like 80, 89. Like it came out in 88, I believe. And ever since then, I just, oh god damn, I fucking love this. So, listeners, the plot of the movie we're going to be talking about today, SlimeCity, made in 1988 by Greg Lamberson, is the story of Alex, an artist that moves into an apartment building and begins noticing that the tenants are not as they seem. Life starts to take a turn when one of the residents, who is the poet of the apartment complex, feeds him green Himalayan yogurt, and his body begins changing, and he starts developing a pesky urge to kill. Now, Vaughn, I think we can already assume that the verdict of this is it's not going on the list of the worst movies ever, right?
No, hell no.
I say this mostly, Vaughn, because the movies you tend to give me on the Patreon are purposely evil movies. They're purposely antagonistically awful fucking movies.
The last film I gave you was made to piss off same-sex marriages about a man marrying his dog. And it got on the list. So I was very happy about that. And there is a 3-hour sequel to Plan 9 from Outer Space made by Flat Earthers that's on that list as well. Which I can't wait for you to finally tackle.
Fucking kidding me. Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and push that. I might take that off of the fucking randomizer wheel.
No, you. I'm not telling you the name. That's why I always said to you, when like you're deliberately wanting me to pay you to drive you crazy. So it's like, okay, fine. I'm going to find the worst fucking thing. The things I believe are the worst things. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like,
that's what I asked for.
Yeah, but I've gone over that list. Like while I look at it, I'm like, there's clear things on that list where people are just like, either it's softballs or just like, these people have like, no offense to anybody who's on the Patreon if you're listening to this, but you have no taste. you guys put some stupid bullshit on there. You're like, this is terrible. It's like, it's mid-tier at best. And it's like, it's not going to go on the list. It's just that you guys have some weird, like high standard, like that just makes no fucking sense. So it's like, like I know how to delve deep into the stupidity of things. And most of the things I put on there were clearly things that I just couldn't stand. Like, I think what another great film that I put on that's on the list inadvertently because it's on another podcast of yours is Bruce LaBruce's epic zombie porn film, LA Zombie. One of the best fucking pornos I've ever seen, and I'm a straight man.
Hard disagree. Hard fucking disagree on that one, bud.
Yeah, but but when I was on, but I know from knowing you personally for a number of years and kind of knowing your tolerances, I was like, when this popped up, I was like, I knew automatically when I was like hitting myself because I'm like, I could like the next 3 films in my on my mind were like, oh, these could have been great fighting fucking films where it could have broken up our friendships, kind of things. Like, and it could have but definitely been on the list, but I never be invited back, and he'd unfriend me on all social media.
That's not true. That's not true.
So, but like, yeah, like I said, this is one of those films like constantly looking around for weirder and weirder shit. But this is a fun little flick.
This might be nostalgia talking.
Sure.
But the verdict for me is obvious. Is I rented this frequently on VHS growing up, but this is an absolute B movie classic, and it's one of my favorite trash films. And I say trash film a lot on this podcast, listeners. And when I say trash film, I don't tend to have the meaning of that be a pejorative. I don't tend to mean something that's bad. Trash film to me, as Vaughn had said, are films that people that tend to like regard themselves as highbrow film aficionados won't watch this kind of stuff and they think it's trash. And I've over the course of my career of being involved in independent films and being a video professional, this kind of stuff is looked at as low class and as trash. And this is the stuff that pulls on my heartstrings. It inspires me. It makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like this is somebody that's following their muse. This is somebody who enjoys life and likes to smile and likes to poke fun at things. And that's in my fucking nature. So like SlimeCity is like the perfect encapsulation of like, if you want to get to know me as a film fan, SlimeCity, I will hand this to you on a platter and I will recommend this to every last motherfucker. And if you don't like it, guess what? There's the door.
Yeah, we really have a hard, like, it's like a handshake film to me. Like there's a handful of films in, like, as a collector and stuff like that, where it's like, if I show this to you and you enjoy it, we could be friends. You know what I mean? If you have you have a problem with it, or like if you know what the film is and you have the same kind of feeling I have with the feeling, it's like we are bonded. Like, you know what I mean? That kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like it says it in the beginning of the show, when the intro that plays at the beginning of the show every week. You know, it's like you have those podcasters who have been saying this for years, that these films are terrible. And it's like they never really look past just the surface of what's being done in the film. And like a film like this, you can clearly tell it's a guy who wanted to make a film. He's put his heart into the whole project and made this really unique fucking thing that's blatantly like an homage to the thing he grew up with and liked. And he just wanted to put something out there that he wanted, that was his fucking hole right there. You know what I mean? And that's what this film is encapsulating perfectly. You know, and that's a great thing. And you hear people over the years, podcasts have been going on for close to 20 years now, as a genre. And there are plenty of people who will take a film like this and just shit all over it because they don't really pay attention to it. They're not. They're just looking.
They're not open to the experience.
Yeah, they're not. They're just kind of already closed-minded. They already have an idea what a good film is and what a bad film is. Absolutely. And anything below whatever they think that bad film is absolute garbage. And that's where they would see this film and go, even though it's got its limitations, it's got its problems, they will automatically grind on those limitations and problems and just fucking make jokes and stupid shit about it. And it's like, come on. I mean, you have to be able to open your mind to be able to kind of experience something for once in your life and just kind of let it out there and just do it. And I think the greatest thing is when you get to watch these films when you're young, when you're kind of just learning about film and stuff like that, it automatically gives you that higher watermark. Okay, like this guy did this for practically nothing, on like weekends and like time when he can get everybody together. He didn't have like a 6-week fucking shooting schedule. He may have done this in 6 months. Who knows? But he got something out. Like, and what the fuck did you do? You're sitting in your mother's basement arguing about semantics with fucking bullshit, and you haven't done anything. Like, and this guy at least fucking busted his ass. He put out a movie that's still being released on all different fucking platforms every so many years. You know what I mean? There's a Blu-ray of this fucking film. There's probably going to be a fucking HD release of this if somebody actually gets really fucking dicey and wants to do that shit.
Oh, this movie will absolutely live on, man.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. So as we do here on the Worst Movies Ever podcast, we break this down with the goods, the bads, and the what the fucks. And Vaughn, let's not dilly-dally anymore. Let's get to the goods.
What is good?
The first good that I have for this movie is, and we've kind of already discussed this a little bit in our preamble, is that this movie has classic 80s B-movie music. It has the look, the film stock, and vibe that reminds me of classic Trauma and classic Frank Henenlotter. And to me, that is home, baby.
It also kind of reminds me of like 50s films in a way, the kind of mutant monster films that they were doing in the 50s because of Atomic Age and whatnot. It kind of reminds me. I know that's not like where the thing is, but with the way he looks when he goes on the hunts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It reminds you of like stuff like The Incredible Melting Man or like any of those kind of like pre-war kind of 50s horror movies.
Or even The Invisible Man. The look is like a mixture of The Incredible Melting Man and The Invisible Man.
And especially the fact that like he's every time he turns into this slime monster, he acts like the Invisible Man, where when he's full on fucking invisible, he just loses his fucking shit and just destroys everything in the rooms and chases people around naked, like, visible naked, fucking around the houses. It's that kind of shit. It's wild. Yeah, and this is what I have you when you're a modern filmmaker doing low budget film. It's like you should watch stuff like this to understand like what you're doing is how it can be done well. You know what I mean? Like, because you'll hear soundtracks for fucking films done nowadays for people who are just starting out, and and they're so bombastic and ridiculous. And I understand they're trying to go for a vibe, but it just doesn't work with this film. With the score, it's so like
appropriate.
Appropriate. It works where it needs to work. It's kind of it's good as it's constantly playing throughout the whole film. Kind of also in the breakup, the fact that a lot of the rooms have nothing on the wall, so there's nothing kind of
which we'll talk about when we get to the bats.
Right. There's nothing. There's so much shit bouncing off the wall, so that the music in the background kind of helps that in a way. And yeah, like the style of it, like the fact that you knew he was shot and it's fucking, and this is one good for me, is that he did this without permits. He shot it on the streets in the town he lived in. He shot it in his apartment, probably in his girlfriend's apartment or some other people's apartment to kind of break it up. And that's the fun part about it. Like the atmosphere is one of the good things that I love about it.
Also, the acting, as you had kind of made reference to earlier, even though it's mostly people that are unknowns, it for the most part, everyone feels appropriate for the roles. And the lead is such a good actor. Like for this movie, he's charming. He's able to do the range that he's asked to do, from being just like this really demure, kind of nice, gentle guy who's an artist, to being this deranged fucking serial killer that's possessed by an alchemist, like the spirit of an alchemist.
Right.
He does such a great job with it, man.
Yeah, and with him, I love the fact that he's this kind of conflicted guy who's moving into an apartment to get away from his roommate, who's this kind of annoying fuck because he wants to get laid by his girlfriend because they've been dating for a year, and there's she's been kind of hesitant about doing that, which is fine. His response to her being kind of cold is typical fucking douchebag guy who just wants to get his dick wet. And it's like, okay, you guys have been together almost a year, fine. I can understand being a little frustrated with that, but like, be fucking respectful, and he is to a point. He is kind of, he also is being a dick sometimes to her every time.
Yeah,
every time it's brought up.
Absolutely.
And she's like, I'm not ready. Like, I don't know. And like, and the only reason he moved out of the dorms was so he could get laid. And like, it's like, and you're like, yeah, it's like, dude, you got to be, you're kind to her, but you have to be nice. That's the problem. You're just like a dickhead. And like, I kind of like when I rewatched this last week, I'm going, I don't have any sympathy for him at all, like, because he's such a kind of a dickhead to her.
Yeah, it's hard.
You're like,
that
you're like when it starts to happen, when he starts going through the change, you're like, I don't feel bad. Like, and then by the end of the film, you start feeling, that remorse for him. Like, oh, okay, he's starting to realize that this is all a fucking problem, and he's trying to fix it.
Yeah, he's trying, but he can't. It's too late.
He can't. He's already too far. Yeah, and it's like. And you feel bad for him by the end of it. Like that whole last sequence is fucking just like, oh God. And that's the great thing about him as being him. He's like, he's able to kind of show you that feeling of like, okay, he's a kind of a dickhead who kind of gets himself too deep into something. And then he tries to fix it. And he's already too far deep into it that he can't fix it. And it has to wait. The way it ends is the way it has to end in a certain way.
There's no other possible. And it just doesn't lead to him. It also leads to his romantic other in this film, who obviously is playing two roles, and the only way you tell the difference between them is a really shitty black wig.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Lori and Nicole, played by Mary Hunter. I like her performance in both roles. Yes. Like, she's kind of this demure, kind of mousy little blonde who's, she's trying to, she loves this guy, and she genuinely loves this guy. And everybody's busting her balls. Like, not even just her, like her friends are busting her balls about being frigid.
Everyone.
Like, it seems like her mom's busting her balls about being it. Like,
absolutely.
It's like everybody hates her because she's not giving it up. And it's like, whatever, that's her prerogative. Like, she doesn't feel comfortable yet. She doesn't feel comfortable. That's what you have to fucking be, mindful of that. And then the exact opposite, Nicole, this kind of, technical, like, 80s rocker type chick, fucking wearing the leather and the fucking big fucking black hair. Her fucking apartment, which is just like
looks like a fucking fire happened to the son of a
right.
bitch.
I was just saying that today. I rewatched it today, just gonna get my mind, and I was like, did they burn this bedroom and just fucking just and then let her move in? Like, what the fuck? And like, yeah, the fact that it looks like all the windows are covered with broken wood and like mannequin arms and shit. And Nicole being the kind of temptress character, he's not hard to get tempted. You know what I mean?
This dude has had blue balls for their entire relationship. Let's be clear on that one.
Yeah. So as soon as he gets a chance to go in there and get in on Nicole, he jumps on that quick.
Oh yeah.
And he has no remorse for it, but then he does when he finds out what the whole fucking, he's being inhabited by an alchemist who's turning him into this monster that, the more he fucking does, the more he gets converted. And that's when he's like, I hate you now. I was like seriously, dude, like what is wrong with you? You seriously need help.
Yeah. So in general, my big takeaway for me is that the acting is head and shoulders above the vast majority of these kind of movies. Now, another point that I want to bring up, and we kind of had made reference, you talking about the Adam Age kind of 50s movies, the references. I'd love to hear what you thought were some of like the influences of this movie, but I saw movies like The Sentinel and Rosemary's Baby and Eraserhead in this movie, with the next door neighbor and the longing that happens there really reminded me of sequences from Eraserhead. But The Sentinel and Rosemary's Baby, like those movies felt so like in the DNA of SlimeCity. What did you see in this?
I definitely saw like the Satanists and Rosemary's Baby with the two kind of the owners of the apartment building, the two old women. The one who's kind of seemingly kind of aloof and the other one who knows exactly what the fuck's up. You know what I mean? And you have both those scenes in the basement. And like the one who kind of like, oh, it's like, yes, he looks just like this. And you see the picture of him in the back of the book, and it's clearly our main actor in a fucking in a hood, like looking fucking ominous and like so dumb. But like she comes and she's like, oh yes, like this is exactly, oh yeah, like this would happen, blah, blah, blah. And like some of the things kind of go out the window. Like there's definitely certain aspects of the story where there's like they expect you to know, like you understand what the fuck's happening. I don't have to beat you in the head again. But like like that, like Sentinel, like I said, like like stuff like the Incredible Melting Man or like the 50s age stuff. Definitely Eraserhead with the kind of roommate, the next door neighbor. Apartment across the way, because there's that whole aspect in that film. Like it's definitely of a time. It's like 88, 78, 87, 88, the kind of punk rock horror kind of metal kind of period, because you have the poet downstairs who's clearly like a mix of like what was it, Nick Zed and like Nick Cave looking kind of dude.
Yeah, totally.
And like his whole thing is like, no one takes us seriously. You only get famous after you're dead. So I'm writing one line of a poem every year.
Like, what an insufferable prick this guy is.
Yeah. And and you're not sure. And like, he seems to be like the one queer character in the thing, because he's a poet and an artist. And it's like, but they don't do the whole thing where it's like typical for that time period where he'd be a mincing gay running around.
Yep.
So I really like that. But yeah, like it's that kind of stuff. You can definitely tell that Lambertson kind of knew the films he wanted to reference, and and kind of went there for it. Yeah, I don't know if I see anything else there. I definitely agree with you. Those three films with Sentinel and Rosemary's Baby, especially the two women, remind me definitely of like the neighbors in Rosemary's Baby, who are constantly throwing info on her every chance they get to like fuck with her. Like,
totally. And it's hard now in 2025 to not look back on this and see all the things that we've seen like ad nauseum in other movies at this point. Like there was a definite like Reanimator vibes to this movie, and the Himalayan yogurt. I could not think of Troll 2 and all the bullshit those fucking idiots ate in that movie. And there was just something so fucking at home about that shit.
And it's seriously the same fucking like, they got the same ingredients for that film, which I think was a number of years later, because it looks so much like it. Even the blue one that and it's like, oh. And I love that scene where he invites him over for dinner. He's like, oh, I shouldn't have told you I don't eat meat. And he's fucking just beating up this blat on his plate. He's like, why do I got green? Why do you have blue? And he's like, oh, I like blue. And you realize later that why he's the green is the fucking, it's the green ectoplasm that's kind of being forced into him because it's the soul of this fucking alchemist.
This guy, yeah.
And the blue is like the one where it keeps everything at bay, I guess you can say. That's why I came up with it, because it's like no one else. He only eats the blue one. It's like it makes more sense. They're drinking a certain thing that kind of will put you in hallucinations and stuff like that, but it's yet like an activator for the ectoplasm that kind of go through your system.
Yeah. So inventive, man. I just thought, even though he's referencing a lot of stuff in this movie, this is not a plot that you would see replicated in a lot of other movies.
No.
Where a lot of these movies just kind of were carbon copies of other movies that they'd say, like a slasher movie or a zombie movie or something like that.
Yeah.
Where this is its own kind of fucking thing, man.
And that's one thing I liked about the New York scene in the 80s, was that they kind of, this film is very much him showing all of his interests on his sleeve, which is great. Like the films he's interested in, the films he wants to reference. But like the scene in the 80s, like independent film scene in the 80s, in New York, was just like guys just fucking making whatever the fuck they wanted, and like not really caring, like, and kind of just opening, like with Henlotter, just doing whatever the hell he felt was like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. Like, didn't really care if it made any money, because all he wanted to do was get it on 42nd Street. If he was showing on 42nd Street, he was fucking happy as
he fucking made it, right?
Yeah. And like Lloyd making stuff where it's just like, I want these to be shown in theaters. I don't like, I just want to make movies that are, somewhat political, and it's what it, kind of Lloyd's always been, is kind of like somewhat political with his films. And you got like Nick Zed, who's just pretty much like, I want to make my poetry live to tape. It's like, okay, good. Let's fucking try to do that kind of weird shit where it's just like, we're going to make the most aggressively strange fucking garbage because that's what I'm seeing every day when I'm living in New York. Fine. Yeah. But nothing, but all these guys are making such original shit. And this is original. Like when I first saw it, did I see those references? No. Like I'm watching it now and I'm like, oh fuck. Yeah, definitely.
Of course.
It's like, why didn't I notice that shit when I was a kid? Oh, because I really wasn't comprehending and fucking keeping it all in this fucking big head of mine.
You're just looking at all the rad fucking shit, which like goes into my next good, is while a lot of it is plainly shot and there's not a lot of set dressing. It's not necessarily in its design super stylistic. There are flourishes within this movie, like the historical, like it goes into like black and white sections that I felt were really inspired.
Now you remind me that whole fucking the first black and white segment is a Bergman fucking reference to the Seventh Seal, which I've totally forgotten. You just completely reminded me about the black and white sequence, and I was like, I remember when I first saw that, I was like, the fuck is like he really referencing this? Like and I was like, what the? And I'm watching it again, like, oh shit, yeah, he fucking just completely ripped it off in like his own low budget, low rent way. It's like the ones where he actually kind of shoots at night, or like he shoots in the basement where there's very little light and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
Like film can only kind of get that kind of stuff. If this was shot 10 years later in digital, it would have looked really chunky and really gross. Like it's just a way, with the fact that it was shot on film, is something I really like about it, because there's night scenes that are shot like pretty much with just, they're doing it underneath the lights on the streets.
Yeah,
like
totally.
And you can tell, but it's shot so well. Like that scene with the hip hop kids, where they're trying to fucking fuck with him, and he pretty much sucks one of their arms into his stomach and tears it off.
One of my favorite scenes of the entire movie, man.
And you know that they fucking, like I said, they didn't shoot this with no fucking permits, and they probably did that in the courtyard of somebody's apartment building, just like with nobody around, and like just did it in the morning. Or like the scene where he's in the restaurant eating. That was either like he knew somebody who worked there, who said, hey, come in at 9:00, we don't open till 11, you can shoot this small little scene, and like get all and like, because he's fucking sweating the slime off him and shit like that, like the first time he turns into the monster. And it's like it's such interesting little shit, and you couldn't do that today. There's no way. Like, that's the one thing I kind of envy about these kind of films. I mean, you can still shoot in your own houses, but you're not going to get away with like fucking shooting on the streets without people fucking trying to be in the middle of it without actually, because there's people walking down the streets in the scenes, not paying attention, not giving a fuck, and it's like, it's wonderful, Yeah.
Thankfully he's filming it in a place that's interesting to look at.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the difference between a lot of other low budget film and this, especially now, where it just like it all looks homogenous, it all looks the same,
Yeah.
but it gives it some sort of like
Yeah.
authenticity that a lot of other films of this nature don't like. The final good that I'm going to bring up for this movie is the finale. That finale is so fucking gonzo and so like well choreographed. The effects work is so fucking great for such a low budget movie that it's kind of shocking how good it is. You know, you would see stuff like this in stuff like I said, Reanimator, or in like some of the goopier trauma stuff, but the effects work in general, and along with the lines of like the whole arm gag, whereas he shoves it, he gets knifed, and the arm comes off, and all that shit. It's absolutely wonderful. And yes, is it a little goofy, and is it a little like you can see the seams, but it works. It works.
No, it
so
definitely
well,
does.
man.
I like because it turns our character around to this kind of sympathetic character that he has no recourse but to kill himself or get killed, you know, because he doesn't want this to fucking happen. You know,
Yeah,
he'd rather stay himself than be an embodiment of this alchemist. And the only way he can get, you know, he's already too far gone by the time we get to the end of the film. And it's just, you can tell that Lambertson kind of was like, you know what, this is the ending I have planned. I'm doing it. We're gonna spend as much time as we have to fucking get this right. You can see in the film there are a little bit of like there are little stodges, there line flubs, you know, by some of the actors. They kind of pick it up really quickly, but you can tell them that they may have fucked up the line, and kind of just work it out, or there's little shot fuck ups. But you can tell in the final sequence with between Laurie and him in the kitchen, you can tell that he's just like, okay, we're gonna fucking really plot this out. We're gonna practice it. We're gonna do it a couple times, and then I'm gonna shoot it because I don't have enough time to do it multiple times.
all hands on deck, right?
And I only have like one or two appliances, like that whole fucking when he cuts the head off, the arms, the whole bleeding of the goo and shit like that. He like
The fucking brain gag.
Yeah, well, like we have one fucking chance to do this right, so we have to do as much as we can. So they probably practice it out. He probably made sure that he knew where the shots were going to be, and all of it. And you can see that he spent probably most of his time doing that final fucking scene, out of the whole film. The rest of it, like I said, it feels like it's maybe 1-2 takes total. You know, I mean, definitely probably more than like maybe one take, like that scene with the kids, with the kids running after the guy gets his arm ripped off and they're running away, and you clearly tell these kids are not fucking actors. The way they react to things, and it's like, you know, he only has one shot. You can only do it one shot with these kids. So he's like, fuck it, we'll just do it once. If you fuck it up, I don't care. We got to keep going.
Yeah,
you know. But with the final, it's just like, I want this to look perfect. Like this is gonna make the film. It's gross and it's weird, but it works so like distinctly to wrap the whole fucking story around. Like you go from hate, like I said, I went from hating this guy at the beginning of the film to feeling really sympathetic at the end of his death, like especially like after she stabs him in the fucking head, and then the fucking head pops up and the brain starts away. Like what
so
the fuck?
wonderful,
you know?
So wonderful. It makes the journey worth it.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
It's an appropriate climax. Now I've said my goods. Did you have any goods you wanted to add to this list?
No, I like everything you've kind of said. I've been kind of thinking about. I rewatched it when I was eating dinner today, and I was just like, yeah, like this is. Like it's all that kind of stuff. Pretty much, you hit on all the marks with mine. So
cool. Well, let's move on to your favorite section, the bads.
What is bad?
My first bad, Vaughn, and I'm going to get real nitpicky about this, and I'm probably going to give a lot more grace than I do a lot more movies. But I've said this on other episodes of the podcast, but there's a full clothes sex scene in this movie where
it clinged to my head because I'm listening to this and just knowing you for as long as I've known you. It automatically clicked in my head. He's gonna gripe about the sex scene because it's just, you know, they're just they're dry humping each other, and it's like it's so stupid. But like
with all their clothes on, like all she does is slightly untie her dress. It just sits on. You don't see anything else,
Nothing.
And she's like a 5-pump chump, and then done. It's just like, oh my god, this is the best you guys can do.
Uh-huh. So fucking strange.
Also, another bad in this movie is nobody believes in furniture in this movie or art on the walls.
No, it's the walls. Every fucking he's an artist. You think he'd have his own art on the fucking walls, like because he's that pretentious. He'd have like a piece of. But we like the one that really stands out is the kitchen scene with the parents.
Oh, so bad.
Like I don't where the fuck he's shooting out of a bedroom somewhere, and you can just hear the fucking echo like a good amount of that time. And it's like Jesus Christ! Like he got better sound when he did the outside stuff than he did in some of the interior ones. And I'm like, shit! I'm like, and he was recording for sound and stuff like that, but you still hear that echo in those houses. And like that's the thing of a first time director not really knowing that you should fucking have you maybe he can't maybe I don't know what places he's using. I don't know if they're not his apartments or friends' apartments. You have to put something up to kind of fucking douse the room with some kind of, because it just sounds a little echoey and it's like, fuck.
Admittedly, if you look at that space when they pull out to the wide shots, it's a very small room. Because they have like a tiny table. There's 4 people in this room. There's not a lot of space for the camera and not a lot of space for the sound man. So I'm sure that attributed to some of it.
It's really relatable because I've been in houses like I know a lot of my mother's family lives in New York, and I've been in places like that where the fucking the kitchen is practically like a center room in a railroad apartment, and you're like and like this table takes up 90% of the room. How the fuck are we all getting in here? It's like who's sitting on the table? You know what I mean? People end up sleeping on, eating dinner on somebody's bed and stuff like that because there's no fucking room for 10 people in a room in an apartment. It's strange. Just put something up. Like he's sitting there working. Every time we see him working on something, he's working on this wide fucking painting because he's got that big easel that he's he's sitting in front of. It's like, and like I know artists like him, like, and you probably
have
know
shit
artists
all
like
over the place, right?
Yeah, their own shit, people's fucking shit they bought from friends, like everything. Like
absolutely. There is a scene in the bedroom when she goes to like sneak on him and dig through his shit where he does have like artist sketches up on the wall.
Yeah, put that in the living room for fuck's sake. No one's using we've never shot any scenes in the bedroom. You fucking maniac, except for that one scene where she's going through the box. It's like, and there's no sound in that scene. It's just the music and her gruffling through a box. It's like,
going back to the dinner scene, I got another bad of the dinner scene.
Okay,
were those the most fucking dry, tiny little fucking pork chops you ever saw in your entire life that he was eating on that plate?
Like, yeah, I don't know who. Did he want somebody to make the food real quick to make it like look authentic? Like we couldn't just made some fake looking food. No, it's like we really don't have money for food, but you need to make 4 plates that look like someone's actually going to eat here. And it's like, oh, like who is in charge?
I got a can of corn. I got some instant mashed potatoes.
Right.
And some pork chops. It just gave me flashbacks to when I was a kid, and my dad used to force me to eat pork chops all the time, and it killed pork chops for me until I was like in my 30s. That's how bad it was. These poor pork chops. All I could think of is like, oh man, I would be eating this shit either.
And I'd be doing the same thing he would be doing. I'd be sitting there fucking with the mashed potatoes. You're not hungry? No, I'm not hungry. It's like, the reason why he's not hungry is he's eating this green goo. But it's like, it's clearly I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta choke this down. I gotta show her, like, at least give her mother a little bit of like, oh yes, it's great. I've done that plenty of fucking times where I've eaten something.
We all have, brother.
And then every fucking time you see that person, they're especially if it's an in-law, a mother-in-law, or a fucking girlfriend's mother, they're always like, "Oh yeah, I made your favorite." It's like, oh fuck, it's like the first meal she ever made you, and it's the same thing she makes all the time. And it's like,
yeah. If you said you liked it once, prepare to eat that for the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah, dry ass apple pie for the rest of my life. Like, just blow my brains out, please. Jesus.
Right. Yeah, no shit. Another bad is the movie itself, while it's front loaded, it's back loaded, the middle section of the movie kind of slows down a tad. And that is, to me, it's slightly attributed to how loose the edit kind of is. It's not a super punchy movie. There's shots that linger on longer than they should, and a lot of this, as you had said, probably comes in line with the first time filmmaker doing a lot of one takes, doing a lot of maybe a couple takes, and this is the best
being precious with the stuff that he's got there, and kind of and going like, oh, I really like this, but it, and not really knowing that you can cut that, you can cut 3 or 4 seconds out of a scene, and probably have an idea that he's got to make a 90-minute movie.
Oh,
you know
what
I mean?
Of course.
And that's what this is. It's like 92 minutes. What is that? Is it 92? Like 86 minutes, something like that. 81 minutes. So it's like he had to make around a 90-minute movie. That's where he knows from fucking seeing films that most films are 90 minutes, and he had to, but you can definitely tell he's like being precious about certain things and certain shots. He's definitely lingering on things, and it's like, yeah, that middle kind of just slows it down a little bit, and you're like, okay, like. And like, even myself, I know you're an editor like by trade, so like even myself, I can see the little things you can cut like seconds out of, like slivers out of, like this,
absolutely.
Like the beginning of a scene, the end of a scene, you can shorten them down.
There's not a lot of L or J cuts, which what that means is there's you can hang on one shot and have the dialogue playing underneath it, and then cut to the other shot. There's a lot of just like one person talking, the next person talks, and the next person talks kind of thing. So yeah, it could just have been tightened up a little bit, but I think you hit the nail on the head. And the last bad I have, and this is super fucking nitpicky. Okay, and I'll definitely wait to hear if you got any more bads. Is that the scene where she guts him at the end? When his guts hit the floor, it looks like fucking scrambled eggs and sausage. It doesn't look like guts.
Yeah, definitely not. I only have one extra one. It's like, it's a scene that I wish you don't really need. It's the scene where he goes to his work. We get introduced to the
video store.
Videos. Yeah, I liked it. I loved the scene in the video store.
I forgot to talk about that in the goods.
The video store itself is great. Like, you see it. Like, I remember fucking going to stores like that, like as a kid. But like, we didn't need it. You don't need that scene. Like, it's just another actor.
Agree.
It's just another actor to care, and he's playing a Hasidic or like a Jewish kind of stereotype character. And he even makes a joke that like he doesn't like the fucking goys fucking with his stuff, and it's like, oh god. That one, and like, we really didn't need the cop. I understand why we need the cop. Like, he's the one who ends up renting the apartment after the whole shenanigans of the end of the film.
Why would they have him when they want to have the leader live? Why would they give it to a dude that's literally like not going to be living for more than 15 years?
Right, but being introduced to that character like a half an hour earlier as a cop who's looking into these murders, is like, we just don't need that, because it's like, it makes no sense. Why would he go back to the scene of a crime and rent the fucking apartment where the guy died in? Like, why? Like, that's just a dumb kind of like, yeah, it's stupid. Like, you would get another college kid to fucking go up there and kind of like, oh hey, like, and like his best friend, I just couldn't stand his whole fucking thing. Like, I understand there was a reason why he was moving out, because the guy was annoying, but he was just really fucking annoying every time he really
played it up. Really played it up. But there was that one scene in the shower where or in the bathroom where they tried making him a fairly sympathetic friend, but he just doesn't.
It was too little, too late by that
actor. He's probably the only actor in the piece that just doesn't really step up the way everyone else does.
Sure,
and he's not awful by any means, but I think he's just being himself. I think that's the one thing that works with that character. It feels like the guy who's playing who's acting that, like, he's just pretty much playing himself, which is great, because you see everybody else. You can definitely see the actors in the thing. The guy who plays the bum is fucking definitely an actor or someone who's going to school for acting. The two freaking old ladies who run the apartment are definitely like actors or people that are kind of actor adjacent. Even like the hooker, the hooker is just like, he clearly had a girl that he was friends with that he had no, like, she could speak the lines and not feel really, like fucking like she was a deer in the headlights. And like, it's like, okay, we're gonna have you do this, do that, and then we're gonna have you get killed really quick. And it's a great scene, but it's like, I understand why we need that. Like, we need the murders and stuff like that. That makes sense.
but like just the stupid little things that could have been cut out, like the whole video store scene. We didn't need that. You don't need that. Like, it's just little things from like, ugh, and that could have really like shortened it up. But I understand why he's probably in there because he wanted a certain runtime. But yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of the hooker sequence, let's move on to the what the fucks.
What the fuck is that?
So there's this sequence where once, Alex is starting to become possessed by this alchemist, and he's going out, and I've never understood what the necessity of murder was in this. Was it blood? Was it anything? Like, it's never really explained, but he has an urge to kill then after this point. So he starts going out to ladies of the night in order to satisfy this urge, because he has a horrible view of sex workers in this movie.
Well, he has a horrible view of women in general, it seems like, in the first
absolutely.
half, because he browbeats his girlfriend about her being so like, holding it back from him. And like the only reason he ran out of that the dorms was so he can get laid. And it's like, yeah, dude, like you're a typical 22-year-old guy. It's like, it's like just because she said, if we had more private time, maybe I might warm up to that. But like, that's not like an automatic thing. It's like, okay, first night in here, come on, let's go. It's like,
let's go, right? Yeah. But that scene, why I label it as a what the fuck is, so do you think that a hooker it has such low morals, is so desperate for cash that she would fuck a dude dripping with obvious slime and melting flesh? How much do you think that fuck would cost?
Yeah, right. Like he is covered in like, so after the first murder, he kind of covers himself in gauze every time he turns into the slime thing, which is a cost preventative thing because they didn't have the money to fucking constantly put him in that fucking gear in the first scene. And he walked like, and it's clearly like a joke, like as a reference to other horror movies where like, the hooker comes along with this fucking monster of a human being just to get murdered.
Yeah.
It's like, and like, she's like, yeah, just, and she's helping him take the fucking bandages off in the dark.
No way.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, you're going to get murdered. It's like, it's so goofy.
This is clearly a bad idea.
Like, and it makes sense. Like the bum I get because like the bum busted his balls before he came back. That makes sense. The hooker just feels like we want to do a slice gag, like a cut gag, and have the blood spray on the wall kind of thing. And we know this one girl who was not against doing that. Like, and it's such a strange, like, is it like her first fucking night out there on the trail? Like, is that what it is? Like, it's like, I want to try something new. It's like, okay, go out and fucking hook. Like, it's like, and then the first night you get out there, you get a fucking assaulted by a muck monster. It's like,
yeah, no shit. Oh shit. My only other what the fuck in this movie, Vaughn, is VHS delivery. What the fuck? I never had that growing up.
I never had that. No.
What a fucking dream come true that would have been back in the day.
And yet that's another scene talking about the bad that could have been cut out. That just reminding me of that is that we didn't need that scene. Like, what was that all about? Like, he just comes over with a bag full of tapes and hands it to this person, and then that's it. It's like, what the fuck? Okay. Yeah. It's like,
it blew my mind. Like, in one way, I was just like, this is like heaven on earth. Back in the day, I could have just like told them to bring me all this weird shit. And I didn't need to bring it up to the counter. But in another way, I felt like the true part of myself was like, man, that really takes away from the whole video store experience. Like, why would you want that? So, do you got any what the fucks?
Yeah. The Borscht Belt bum. he's clearly the one actor that they knew that he got, and he's playing this shtick the whole time, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, everybody else acts like a normal human being, and he acts like a cartoon character. You're like, what the fuck? The dance sequence, Nicole's weird dance sequence in the middle of the film.
Oh yeah, that's like entrancing him from sleep.
It doesn't. That's like, what the fuck? And like you see, and that's when you get to see more of the room, the apartment. You're like, and her apartment. It's like a what the fuck? Like who's like, you're losing your fucking your security deposit when you move out of that place, unless you fix all the fucking madness you put in there. Like we said, her bedroom looks like it was on fire at some point, and they just let her move into the building and didn't clean it at all. Yeah, all her windows and doors are covered in broken slats and fucking mannequin arms that look like they're like going out to reach for you, and you're like, Like, I mean, it's cool, but like, seriously, when they move out of the apartment, they're like, the fuck is this? No, I'm not paying. No, I don't give you back that $200 you fucking put for security. I gotta fix all this garbage. I gotta paint these walls. What the fuck? No, get out of me. Yeah, it's like that dance sequences, and that dance sequence is like, he already was enticed. Like the night before, when she's clearly like having sex with that guy, and he makes a reference to the friend. He's like, when she put out her garbage, like in the middle of the night, because she's dragging a bag full of a dead body from that dude that she was just fucking out of the house. Like, dumbass, like, but like he's completely enticed by that because he's so fucking desperate to get laid that it's like, that whole dance, it makes no fucking sense. And like I said it earlier, the when they show them the Book of the Alchemist and they show the picture of the alchemist in the back, and it's like, wait, when was this book written? And it's like, you clearly know it's our lead actor in a cloak, looking menacing, like shot in black and white. And you're like, that's so fucking goofy.
Yeah, to just add a little bit to like the whole discussion of Nicole in her room.
Yeah.
Literally no furniture, and when they have sex, it's on the floor, and the floor doesn't look like it was ever cleaned once in their entire
and it's like a hardwood floor. It's like not carpeted, it's like a hardwood floor, and they're fucking on a hardwood floor with like nothing. Like, and I understand it's like I've dated girls who are the whole kind of punk rock ethos where they don't have they have just a fucking mattress, nothing else on the floor, and the room is bare. And it's like, okay, at least they have a fucking mattress. She has nothing. She's sleeping on the floor like a dog. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? And guys are like, yeah, I'll go home with you. I mean, look at her. I mean, like the actress who played her, she's a beautiful woman. And like when she's playing the kind of temptress character, Nicole, I can understand why guys are like, yeah, I'll go home with you. I don't give a fuck. What are you gonna do? You're gonna have sex with and murder me? Fine, I'll go with him. It'll be worth it. It'll be a conversation starter. In hell when I'm like how I got here? I fucked like a vixen. Like, and she cut me up into pieces and threw me in the garbage the next morning
with all my clothes on, and I got a splinter in my ass.
Like, Jesus.
Having said that, that's all I really got. You got any closing thoughts on SlimeCity?
No, I think it's something you all should check out.
Yeah.
It's on fucking Tubi. It's on multiple places in YouTube if you want to watch it in full, because it doesn't have any nudity, so YouTube doesn't particularly care. I mean, you should try to give Lamperson any money you can. It's on any kind of it has been put out. I think it's on Blu-ray, on DVD, on VHS. The guy deserves some kind of cash for it because it is probably the best film he's ever made. But it's a great fucking film, and if anybody has a problem with that, they can come and find me. Like I don't know.
They can get fucked. They can absolutely get fucked in my mind. Absolutely. And I want to thank you for not only coming on, but like choosing this movie. And I wholeheartedly agree that go give Greg Lambertson some love. The dude obviously is a genre fan, lifelong. Literally all of his movies are on Tubi. So if you get into this one, and while Vaughn doesn't necessarily think the rest of them are as up to snuff as this one, there's a few good ones in his filmography for sure. Dry Bones is a fun movie. I
haven't seen that. I have seen a couple of them. I haven't seen all of them, but it's definitely a guy I have to go back to and watch the ones I haven't seen. But the ones I've seen, like the more recent, in the last 2 or like 5 or 6 years, 10 years, whatever the hell, I think the last film he made, I was like, oh, but I know the stuff he made after this is pretty good because it's still shot on film and stuff like that. They're kind of okay. When he transitioned from he took that long break and he came back and started making film again, that's where it kind of gets a little iffy. Even if he made nothing else, he just made this film and he can dine on this film the rest of his life, I would be totally perfectly fine with that. You know what I mean?
Absolute fucking genre classic in my mind. And that's all we got. Vaughn, before I do an outro on this motherfucker, do you got anything you want to shill on this podcast?
Yeah. I've been running a podcast for the near 20 years now called Motion Picture Massacre. It is a show where it is one part my life cast, one part a film discussion podcast. I roughly talk about genre and weirdo cinema. So if you would like to check that out, motionpicturemassacre.wordpress.com. And you can find it on all all streaming, like all like fucking podcast apps except for Spotify, which, you know, I'm never going to fix because they want me to edit all my shows, and that's not going to happen. It's hard enough I got the show out. So you should be
Dude,
happy
that's
about
why
that.
Astro Radio Z isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah. Like they kept kicking shows out, right? That's what it was. It's like, oh, you got music on here we can't make money off? Nope. It's like, no, we don't care about freaking free use. No, fuck you. Yeah. So
fuck off and die. And like I said, your podcast, I told you this in private, and you broke kayfabe on me on your podcast and relinquished this information. But your show is an absolute influence, not only this show, but especially my Patreon, where my Patreon version of this podcast is very much a podcast about my life and my life with fucking B shit film. And that's like, overall, I've wanted to, and I think I've described this on the podcast before, is that even though we sit and we nitpick and we dog film, and everybody does this, everyone does this, I want the overall tone to always be positive, because this is what I love. I love these kind of movies. I love low rent movies. I love movies that are low budget. I love movies that are made by people that just love cinema. And while they may be imperfect, they're still worth our time.
And that's the thing that I've been doing for, you know, close to 20 years, which is kind of pushing people in the direction of films that are off the beaten path that I really enjoy. That's why I talk about like close to 20 films an episode, because I watch a lot of stuff, and I've always been the idea that I always put for my show is that I'm that guy that you knew in high school that watched a lot of dumb shit, but always kind of veered you into the right direction of stuff that you would like. You know, even if you don't particularly like what he's talking about, whatever he references, something in that discussion is something you're going to go in and go, I love this. Fucking, this is the best thing in the world. You know, and that's pretty much what I've been doing for, you know, nigh on 2 decades now. So
fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's the kind of podcast.
And like you were sitting there telling me Kafe in the last episode, it really kind of hit me in the dark parts of my heart that someone, you know, I've been going through a lot in this last year, and getting any kind of positive reinforcement for the things I do is very rare. So when I actually get it from somebody I actually respect and like, it's like, it just makes like that little small tiny heart of mine grow 3 times the size for a moment, and then shrinks back down to like, oh, fucking bastard, like, you know. So
well, that makes me extremely happy, but I'm glad because it's genuine and it's heartfelt. So
I know.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Having said that, guys, that's the end of the episode. Next episode, I'm going to be talking about some weirdo gimmick called fucking Skeleton Man. I've never seen this fucking thing. It popped up, and you know the way that I do this. I just go to my So Bad It's Good channel on Plex, and I just hit the randomizer, and whatever pops up, I'm going to watch it. That's what we're going to be watching. So stay tuned, folks. Take care. Go, please, by all means, 100%. If you continue to listen to this podcast, you haven't seen Slime City, get fucked. Bye.
Worst Movies Ever podcast is executive produced by Vaughn Kuhlmeyer and Shannon Smith. For more Worst Movies Ever, and to make the Doctor watch your worst movies ever, subscribe to the Worst Movies Ever Patreon at patreon.com/Worst Movies Ever. There you will get a monthly exclusive WME podcast plucked from the user-generated film list, randomized episode to episode. Until next time, celebrate trash at all costs. Toodles.